Go inside the Crimson Tide. Tider Insider TV with Rodney Orr and Gary Harris.
The same week that he was turned down by Greg Marshall, Alabama Director of Athletics Bill Battle got right back in the batter's box, and he knocked it out of the park. The Little General, Avery Johnson, the former NBA Coach of the Year, is coming to Tuscaloosa to coach the Crimson Tide men's basketball team. See that video right there? Did you see Gerald Wallace in there?
I did.
Somebody's already messaged me and said that was that on purpose. I said, no, it just worked out that way. But coaching a Bama guy there, now he'll be coaching a whole team of Bama guys. And with that, we say good evening, everybody. Welcome into Tider Insider TV, presented each and every week by Buffalo Rock, alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com. I'm Gary Harris. Tonight, ice-cold Pepsi next. Let's pop the top on this baby. It's been a hectic afternoon, so yeah, you hear the sound, and now you're going to hear it again, going down nice and smooth. Pick up some Pepsi next. The next time you're at your local grocery store, all that great Pepsi flavor, 2/3 less calories and sugar than regular Pepsi. All right, Rodney, if you're a fan of Alabama men's basketball, it's been trying times. For whatever reason, it just didn't work out with Anthony Grant, and then Coach Grant not retained for a 7th season. All the eggs were put in the Greg Marshall basket. Looked like that Marshall was headed to Tuscaloosa. Wichita State came up with a basket full of money to counter Alabama. He stays there. But Avery Johnson is the man at the moment, and I'm going to tell you something, Rodney. He is a guy that is a proven winner. 16 years as a player in the NBA. You know, he came out of Southern University where he played for the legendary Ben Jobe, 5'10 and a half, wasn't even supposed to play in the NBA, played 16 years, has his number retired by the San Antonio Spurs. As a coach, he reached 50 wins and 150 wins faster than any coach in league history with the Dallas Mavericks. In his first season, he led them to the NBA Finals in 2006. The next year, they won 67 regular season games, 67 and 15, won 51 his third season, went on to coach the New Jersey Nets. Now, we're going to have much more discussion about Avery Johnson. We are going to really blow it out for this particular TITV on the new coach. But right now, let's hear from the man himself just about an hour and 10 minutes ago at the Tuscaloosa airport.
Really excited to be here. Can't wait to get started. Looking forward to seeing everybody at our press conference. Looking forward to getting to work. And this has been a lifelong dream of mine to coach on the collegiate level and be a part of a community like Tuscaloosa in the great state of Alabama. As you guys know, I am from the South. And I love the South. I've been around the SEC for a long time, growing up in New Orleans. But I want to thank you guys for coming out. I want to say to the fans, get ready. Put your seatbelt on, because what you're about to experience is something you've never experienced before.
I'm already fired up, Rod.
Dash of confidence there.
Here's the Avery Johnson file. We've already covered some of it for you. He's been schooled by two of the best in the history of the NBA, Don Nelson and Greg Popovich. He's 7 years of head coaching experience, including an NBA Finals appearances we mentioned with the Mavericks. No college coaching experience, which is really the only knock that you can make on this hire, but I tell you what, I think he'll pick it up fast. He knows how to coach. That's the bottom line. Jen Chapman was at the Tuscaloosa airport when Coach Johnson arrived, and she has more in this report.
Since the news broke this past weekend that Athletic Director Bill Battle met with Avery Johnson in Dallas, Tuscaloosa has been buzzing, and now the news is official. Avery Johnson has landed in Tuscaloosa. It will now be his new home as he becomes the 20th men's head basketball coach in Alabama Crimson Tide history. And what fans are excited about? His energy and charisma, which was seen today when he landed, immediately addressing the media with his infectious smile, telling everybody to get ready. It's going to be a ride. I think he even said to buckle up. And this is what the fans have been waiting for. Now he has NBA coaching experience, including taking the Dallas Mavericks to the NBA Finals. He also won an NBA Final as a Spur. So he's got all that going for him. The criticism that he's never coached at the college level, but his name itself, the Little General, will be able to recruit, and that's what Alabama fans are hoping he brings. Tomorrow, he will have a live press conference at 11 a.m., which we will carry on WVUA TV. And of course, we expect to see that smile and charisma again. And I think he'll probably throw in a Roll Tide. Reporting from Tuscaloosa Regional Airport, Jen Chapman for Tider Insider.
Thank you so much, Jen. Now, Rodney, I want to bring you in. Alabama fans, I think, wanted to make a splash with this hire. Certainly, Greg Marshall is a great basketball coach. The national pundits at Alabama had no chance to hire Greg Marshall. They didn't. I guess in the end they were right, although we know he came very close to taking the job. But then when he turned it down, most of them said, well, go for this guy, go for this guy, go for a guy you know will take the job, whether or not he's been, really proven as a long-term experienced coach or not. But Bill Battle stuck to his guns. He said he wanted to bring in a coach that would excite the fan base, and I think in Avery Johnson, Bill Battle has, mission accomplished.
Well, I think that's where Bill Battle deserves a pat on the back, because he didn't just settle. A lot of people were saying, as Gary said, take this guy or that guy, an easy guy to get, and Bill Battle didn't take that route. He looked out of the box a little bit, and Avery Johnson, who had contacted Alabama, Coach Battle reached out to him, and they got together and made it happen. And again, when you're talking about Avery Johnson, you're talking about a guy that has won on the highest level. He's got a lot of energy, a lot of passion. He wants to be here. That's the key. I think this is something, as he said, was a lifelong goal of his, a lifelong dream to have an opportunity like this. He brings name, he brings energy, he brings a lot of personality to Alabama basketball, Gary.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to take a college job to get another college job. I think the only way he would leave on his own is if he had a lot of success, and who knows, maybe he might go back to the NBA, but that means that the program's in good shape. We'll have to see if it works out or not in terms of wins and losses. In terms of recruiting, I'm not worried. I know he hasn't recruited before, but you know what? Every kid that plays basketball wants a shot at the NBA. Who better than to coach you, to tell you how to get to the NBA, than a guy that played 16 years in that league and was a head coach for 7.
He certainly has a lot of stuff to sell, but he has a great personality, Gary. I think he relates extremely well to kids. I think, as Jen said in her report, an infectious personality and smile and what have you. So I think it's all about building relationships, and obviously he does an outstanding job of that. So I don't think recruiting is going to be a difficult thing for him at all.
Star power is a big deal. Perception is reality in a lot of ways, and we've seen it with Coach Saban, his clinics, some of the people he's brought in, Belichick, the names go on and on, head coaches in the NFL. Can you imagine when Coach Johnson puts on a clinic, he can call in Don Nelson, he can call in Greg Popovich, he can call in David Robinson, Chris Webber, Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be exciting. But I do want to ask you about recruiting. What is the biggest challenge for someone, you follow recruiting on all levels, for someone who has never had to do it?
Well, I just think, Gary, first of all, he's got to learn the rules. I mean, what he's got to do and all those things and the tests that he has to go through to, get out on the road and start recruiting. But again, I just think that it's going to be something that's going to be a natural fit for him, his personality. I think, he's going to be a big hit in living rooms and with high school coaches, with the, the AAU coaches and all of the people that you have to meet and go through to recruit, Gary. I just think with his personality and his confidence, I think he's going to be a shining star as a recruiter. I think he'll surprise those people who say, can he do it?
Well, Tuscaloosa's buzzing, and it'll be sure to continue tomorrow when he has his introductory press conference. Of course, much more coverage from WVUA tomorrow when Avery Johnson's officially introduced as the new Alabama men's basketball coach. All right, changing gears now to the Alabama football team. The Tide held its first scrimmage of the spring last Friday at Bryant-Denny Stadium. It was one that seems to favor the defense. Of course, Rodney, that's usually the case early in spring. If the defense doesn't look better, you might be in for a long season. No quarterback stats were released, so it's hard to tell exactly what happened with those guys. Nick Saban seemed pleased, though, after the scrimmage, particularly with that very talented defensive line.
I think that obviously the execution is not what we'd like for it to be on a consistent basis. There was a lot of good things out there. There's also a lot of things that we need to clean up. The defensive front is probably the strength of our team, right now. And I think those guys showed that a little bit today, made it difficult to run and create a lot of negative plays with batted balls and pressures on the quarterback, that type of thing.
Here are some of the stats. Derrick Henry led the way on the ground. A good day for Bo Scarborough. Unfortunately, he had an ACL injury. He's already had surgery. He tweeted out that the surgery was a success. Don't rule him out. He could possibly come back some point in 2015. You see what the receivers did, and on defense, you expect to see this a lot. Reggie Ragland is going to be a leader, not just statistically, but he's going to lead that defense in a lot of different ways. He's a really good player. More to come on TITV, including a big-time commitment from an offensive lineman out of California. Plus, Alabama Gymnastics moves on after another regional championship, some impressive numbers, and a national preview coming up right after the break. And also, we'll be welcoming your phone calls emails, and tweets. As always, look at your screen. There's the information on how you can get in touch with us. We know a lot of you probably want to discuss AJ, the new men's basketball coach. Call now, 205-348-9882. We're back after this. Defensive backs certainly have a hard time covering him, but look at his back. It's all covered up. Julio Jones is getting a huge gladiator tattoo. Wow. He has been sharing the progress of his new ink on his Instagram account. Okay. He is a gladiator. We will agree with that. Okay. Spring football is in full swing, but that doesn't slow down recruiting. It never ends. And Alabama pulled in a really nice commitment from California. Offensive tackle Jonah Williams. Rodney, this is a guy that's getting a lot of press, a lot of hype. What type of player will Alabama be getting if indeed they're able to sign him next February? He's very athletic, Gary. You look at him, he has great feet. And I think that's obviously one of the things that you really like about him, versatility. He can play either side, whether it's right tackle, left tackle. He played both in high school. You know, he's a streamlined kid. He's got a lot of space to get bigger. And I think, you know, when you look at him, Gary, he's considered one of the top offensive linemen in the country. He had tons of offers, tons of opportunities. The thing about him, he's from Folsom, California, but he originally grew up in Atlanta before he moved to California. His mother went to Auburn. His dad went to Georgia. And both those two programs are very upset that he's going to Alabama. Yeah, he is looking to roll with the Tide. Rodney, when you look at his numbers, you saw how impressive he is physically. Here's the thing that I like. Again, 6'5", 280. He's already mature, but he can get a lot bigger. He's got a frame that he can add weight to. But, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but a lot of high school offensive tackles that weigh 280, 90, 300 pounds, they're chubby. He's a muscular guy. Streamlined guy. I think he's, like I said earlier, I think he's got a lot of room to grow, Gary, and, you know, potentially he's an outstanding player. And when you look at the job that Tosh Lapoy, again, you know, the outstanding recruiter from the West Coast, now a part of the Alabama staff who had done such a great job out there at Cal and Washington for so long. Now he's doing an outstanding job here. He and Mario Cristobal, the offensive line coach, Gary, deserve a lot of credit, you know, for their efforts in recruiting Jonah Williams. Good-looking prospect. Now Alabama's just got to fight to hang on to him. Well, the Crimson Tide women's gymnastics team is right in the middle of a run to the NCAA championships. This past weekend, they advanced to the NCAAs by winning the Auburn NCAA Regional. It was the 33rd consecutive year the Tide has advanced to the championship round. That's the second longest streak in NCAA history. Either way, Dana Duckworth has had an incredible first season. She'd like to cap it off with a national title, but she knows Alabama will have its work cut out for it in Fort Worth, Texas.
I'm so proud of this team. I cannot tell you how exciting it is to watch them do their gymnastics with joy, love, and belief, and have the kind of team camaraderie that they do. I mean, you should have seen us in the locker room on the buys, just having fun and being Bama, and I'm very proud of how they handled that.
Here are the teams that Alabama will be advancing with. Auburn making it there, even though Alabama beat them in the NCAA Auburn Regional. The Tigers did finish second to qualify. NCAA defending co-champs Oklahoma and Florida will both be there, so you know what? You're going to have to earn it. But this Alabama squad, as I said, Dana Duckworth, what a job taking over for legends Sarah and David Patterson. And I know she was on the show last week when I was calling the softball game. And her infectious personality. We're talking about AJ. What about Dana Duckworth? Just positive and focused at the same time. Talked to her about the pressure that she faced replacing a legend in Sarah Patterson, David Patterson, and you know, she talked about just you know, the fact that she had been with them for so long. Certainly, you know, helped her along the way, and she handled some rough spots in the season really well and managed her team to where they are now. Yep, they are on a roll. More to come on TITV, including a check-in on Alabama softball after a big weekend series at Kentucky. And up next, we'll be welcoming your phone calls, emails, and tweets. Again, the information, 205-348-9882. Email is TITV@WVUATV.com, or you can reach us on Twitter using the hashtag TiderInsiderTV. We'll roll on from Tuscaloosa right after this. The Alabama softball team won 2 out of 3 over the weekend in Lexington against a very talented Kentucky squad. Alexis Osorio pitched a complete game shutout on Sunday. She racked up 10 strikeouts for the Tide, improved to 10-5 in the rough and tough Southeastern Conference. It's an interesting week for the Tide. They have a pair of midweek games tonight at UAB and Wednesday against Middle Tennessee up in Decatur. but no SEC series this weekend. Bama returns to SEC play next week at Auburn, and that will be something else. It's time to head to the phone lines. Rod, first up tonight, J.K. in Tuscaloosa. Hey, J.K., how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, guys. How y'all doing?
Very well, thank you.
I just wanted to ask on the progress of Marlon Humphreys, and how's Ronnie Clark looking at running back, fellas?
Yeah. J.K., I think when you talk about Marlon Humphrey, he has a lot of potential. He certainly looks like he's made a lot of gains from last year in terms of physically. He's a really long, athletic-looking corner. And, I mean, you talk about some of the successful corners that have been here under Nick Saban. And, you know, he looks like another one of those guys just physically speaking. And I think that, you know, he's got a bright future. And I know he asked about something else. Who was the other player?
Ronnie Clark.
Ronnie Clark. Yeah, Ronnie Clark, of course, switched positions, had started out at safety, and now is working at running back. They moved him there last year when they had some injuries. And, you know, of course, he had the Achilles injury, and he's still coming off of that. But, you know, I think when you look at him, he's a guy that maybe can compete at a lot of positions, Gary. He could be a guy that could be a tailback or a running back, could be a guy that plays that H-back role too. He's got, you know, the ability to get bigger. He's, you know, 215, 220 pounds already. So, you know, again, I just think he's a great athlete and just going to have to see as time goes on where he settles in.
Let's go to Gadsden and talk to Jerry. Jerry, welcome into the program. Jerry, you with us? One more time, Jerry. All right, Rodney, he wanted to know about scholarships, and if you don't use a scholarship, if it rolls over to the next year. Well, bottom line is you can't have more than 85 on scholarship at any one time, so that's usually not an issue as far as holding scholarships and stockpiling them. But normally they're going to sign an average of about, you know, anywhere probably between 22 and 27 players a year.
Yep. Every year. And again, sometimes you can have a back counter. You get a midterm guy, maybe a junior college player, and you have a, you know, scholarship left over from the year before or whatever. You can apply him to that. So, you know, they can do that.
You can never have more than 85, though, Jerry, regardless, at one time on scholarship. All right, real quickly, let's talk to our buddy BT here in Tuscaloosa. BT, what's up, man?
I'm good, Gary. Ronnie, how about y'all?
Very well, thanks. Go ahead, BT.
My question is, Ronnie and Gary, that who's coaches he going to bring in here?
All right, BT. Well, all indications are that Antoine Petway will remain on the staff. Former Crimson Tide player, has done a great job recruiting Rodney. After that, he's going to have to put his staff together. I'm sure he's going to take his time. It's a very, very important part of being a head coach is your staff, particularly for a guy who's a new college head coach. But with all his connections, I think that he'll put together a top-notch coaching staff.
No doubt. And I think it's an opportunity for him, Gary, to get some guys with some recruiting experience.
All right, but again, we expect Antoine Petway to be a part of the new staff here with Avery Johnson. More to come here on Tider Insider TV. We'll check in on the Alabama baseball team. It was a struggle this past weekend against third-ranked LSU. When do we not say that when Alabama plays LSU in baseball? And coming up, more of your phone calls, emails, and tweets. Again, the information right there on the screen on how you can get in touch with us. Let's keep it rolling tonight. It's a big night in T-Town. We'll be back after this. What a baseball series this past weekend at the Hoover Met between Alabama and LSU. LSU ranked third in the country. A 16-inning game on Friday night, the longest in Alabama baseball history. A regular 9-inning game on Saturday, then a 13-game or 9-inning game on Friday, a 16-inning game on Thursday, and then a 13-inning game on Saturday. I got it all messed up, but the series was not a good one for Alabama. In the end, they lost all 3 games, 2 of them heartbreakers, so they played tough, but they come up short. Tonight they're at Sanford. Friday through Sunday they will host Georgia in an SEC series. LSU really has Alabama's number. Here's what's next for the Tide there again on your screen. You see it right there, and they'll have Georgia in here for a series at the Hoover Met this weekend. All right, let's head right back to the phone lines. Let's go to Saginaw and talk to William. William, what's going on?
Hey, guys. Hey, I just want to say congratulations on Avery Johnson. That's just awesome, him coming to Alabama. But my question is the importance of Reggie Ragland at being there at the linebacker position, the importance in his leadership for our defense. Your thoughts?
Well, William and Rodney, I think it's critical. I mean, not only is he a terrific football player, but he's a guy that after last season, I think he will be looked at to lead that defense in more ways than just his play on the field.
Yeah, William, I can see it even in the interviews. Reggie Ragland's taking that leadership role, and it's much needed. I think Alabama needs to develop some leaders, and I think Reggie Ragland's really stepping up, trying to become that guy for the defense. And again, I think, Gary, you have to have leaders to win a lot of games. And it's good to see Reggie Ragland taking that role.
Absolutely. Let's get an email in, and this is on basketball from Tony in Moundville. Is Alabama behind as far as basketball facilities go in the SEC? We've talked about it before. I don't think the Tide is anywhere close to being as far back as a lot of people would have you to believe. Coleman Coliseum was opened in 1968, but it did go through a $30 million renovation 10 years ago, another $5 million 5 years ago, including a beautiful center hanging scoreboard, great practice facility in there, great locker rooms, coaches' offices. So I don't think it's by any means the best in the SEC, but it's not the worst either. I think the facility is certainly good enough, Rodney, to attract top recruits, and when it's packed, 15,000 plus, and that place is rocking, it can be a fun place to play basketball.
Yeah, I think one thing too is Alabama's in the middle of a lot of programs that have, kind of developed their facilities a little bit recently, added on, what have you, came up with new arenas, and I think a lot of fans kind of get caught up in that. And, you see it talked about all the time on Tider Insider about the facilities at UA being behind, but I'm with Gary. I don't think so.
All right, thanks for the phone calls and the email. We enjoyed it. Well, we're wrapping up TIT when we return, but you don't want to go away now because we got a picture that defies all of the odds. You're going to stay tuned for that. You're going to want to see it. It's a beautiful evening here in West Alabama. We'll be back to wrap things up right after this. We've already gone to Instagram once for an update on a former Alabama player. What about this one? That's Chance Warmack. He was famous for the picture on the right at Alabama, pulling up that jersey and Warmacking, which was showing off his big belly. Now he puts out this picture that says muscles heavier than fat. He's 345 in the picture with his shirt raised up, Rodney. But look at the abs. You don't think that guy's working?
What a difference.
See? It's possible.
He cut out the sugar.
Yeah, he's getting it done. All right, that is Tider Insider TV for tonight. We'll have a replay at 10:30. For Rodney, I'm Gary. Good night.